organizations to broaden the reach of our values. You can find the address of the Realm app by going online in your order of service or in the Share the Plate offerings, and pledges may be dropped in the baskets as they're passed back through the end of the service. Our Share the Plate partner for the month of January is someone you all know and love dearly. And so listen up, because it's going to be the minister's discretionary.
Thank you. So the Minister's Discretionary Fund is an aid fund that is held here within the church for congregational and community need. This is a wide variety of need. Sometimes it's someone who is trans and trying to get their name change paperwork filed. And just having that extra $50 or $100 makes the difference between someone being able to legally be called and recognized by the name that they choose and identify with. Sometimes it's someone who has recently gotten a new job and is waiting for paperwork to come through, just needs $25 to make sure that they can get a few more meals on the table before that happens. Sometimes it's someone who is headed for a shelter that doesn't have space yet and needs one night in a hotel to tide them over, make sure that they're not out in the cold for a night. Sometimes it's a tank of gas, an electric bill, a telephone bill. I'm sure many of you have had moments in your lives where you didn't know if you were going to make it till that next paycheck. One of the ways that the discretionary fund helps is by making pastoral care not just the spiritual sustenance of, yes, I believe in you, but to say, I believe that you can make it because we are in this together. And so I ask for today and for this month that we top up that fund, that we make it strong and robust, so that no one ever has to worry, well, have I given enough in the past? Is there enough if I ask for some, that people who are worse off will still be okay? Because it's hard to ask for help. You can always think of someone worse off. So let's be in this together as we pass our offering baskets.
As the baskets go around, I'm going to read a poem about generosity by Oak Sky, modified by Jean Heater. By generosity, one can overcome obstacles. By generosity, one avoids enemies. Generosity is the transcendent friend. Thus, generosity is said to be essential. Generosity is the ornament of the world. Through generosity, one turns back from the lower realms. Generosity is the stairway to the higher realms. Generosity is the virtue that produces peace. The prosperity of the Buddha is inexhaustible and fills the entire universe. In order to obtain this prosperity, completely propagate generosity.
Good morning, my name is Jennifer Goodman. I'm going to read a poem by the late Ed Warsaw that I didn't know he wrote until today. And Ed was a longtime member of our congregation. And this is about the ceremony we're about to partake in. And the poem's titled Buddha Washing. We sit, we stand, we talk. We chant, we pray, we wash. We wait, we pay, we watch. We hear, we see, we call. We smell the incense, we smell the incensed air, our thoughts released out there.
We light this chalice at the end of the old year and the beginning of the new one. May its light symbolize the light within all of us that connects us all and shines forth to dispel the dark and illuminate the true nature of the universe and all that exists and dwell within it.
So today for joys and concerns, we're going to do it in the old-fashioned traditional way. So if anyone has a joy or concern that they'd like to express, you can come forward and speak your piece. Well, I'm happy that we're gathered here again to do the Buddha washing after 3 years of absence due to COVID. So thank you. Thank you for coming. So this ceremony, I first experienced at the Boulder Zen Center. Gento Richard Varsky, the priest there, called me up during the Christmas holidays and said, we're having the ceremony on January 1st. Why don't you come down to Boulder and do it with us? So we first performed it here in 1991. And why is this important? Well, it's held on either the last Sunday or the old year or the first Sunday of the new year. And it's a symbolic ritual to reflect on the experience of the previous year and prepare for the new year. This year, I think it's especially appropriate because not only are we starting a new year, but we're starting a new ministry with our new minister. So it's not only changing the year, but changing and entering into a new era. I've modified the ritual to suit our diverse beliefs by including personal Buddhas and other spiritually significant items to be washed. With that in mind, now is the time to bring your objects to the altar to be washed if you haven't done so already. Does anybody have anything? Yes. Oh, Chuck. Didn't see you back there. Yes. So let me go over the general way the ritual runs. First, we'll dasho or bow to each other if we're comfortable. And this is like the parentheses. It establishes a safe time, and then at the end, we also bow to
Can you talk to the mic?
Oh. Sorry. We vow at the beginning and at the end, and it's like a parenthesis to enclose a sacred time. Then I'll sound the gong 3 times. Then I'll come up and open the altar, and I'll light the 3 candles, which represent the triple jewel of Buddhism, which are the Buddha, his teachings, and the body of practitioners of his teachings. Then I'll light the incense, but first, is there anybody in here who has a bad reaction to incense? Okay, we get to do incense this year. Then I'll add the water of our experience, which we gathered in the fall. Water that Lauren had blessed in the moon ceremony. Moon bless. Okay. Ah, yes, all right. Merci. Okay. And then I'll pour the water out into the carafes that we can use to wash the Buddha. Then we'll begin, Audrey will lead us, and we'll begin chanting the Heart Sutra, which is on the chant sheet that's on your, should be on your chair. And we'll talk about later about how to do the chants. Then we'll come up and wash the Buddha, and Abby's going to demonstrate that for you in a minute. Then once everybody has had a chance to wash the Buddha and the line gets down to 0, we'll finish chanting the Heart Sutra, and you'll hear some chimes indicating to you that this is the last time through the chant. You should be able to notice that. All right, and then once the chant is finished, I'll come up and put out the candles and put some of the water back into our water experience for next year. Then I'll come back, sound the gong, and then we'll do a final gasho, and then I'll take questions, and that's the ritual. So to do the washing of the Buddha, I'd like you to form a line about 3 deep, with the first person kind of in line with the seats. And then one at a time, you'll come forward and approach the altar. Gasho or bow if you're comfortable. And then as you're waiting in line, reflect on your experiences in the past year. And then when you reach the table, select one of the objects or many of the objects that you wish to wash and dip water with the first scoop. Acknowledge your experience of the past year. With the second scoop, we break our attachments to that experience. And in Buddhism, breaking attachment is a very important practice, because it's kind of our attachments to many things that imprison us and keep us locked in delusion. Then with the third scoop, we open ourselves to the experiences in the coming year. Then we back up 3 steps, gasho if you're comfortable, and then return to your seat through the outside aisles. Okay, are there any questions on that part? Yes. Yes.
At what point would you like to do time early?
Oh, I'm sorry, you want to do that even though there are no other ages?
I
Do-
choose wisdom stories, I think you all would like.
Okay, well, wait just a second until I finish this, and that's, I'm sorry, I missed that. So chanting. So the important thing of chanting is making sound, not accuracy. So it's make a joyful noise, be creative, do what Bob Morris called no fault harmony. Try to get the most exotic harmonies you can out of the sounds. And the chant sheets on your chair, if you're done, you can either take it home if you'd like, or put it back in the box. We'll use it for next year. I went through the other day and looked back, and I had a few that were back from like 2008. So I've cleaned those up. So I clean up the ones that are messed up, but please put it back if you don't want to look at it. So there's a saying that Unitarian Universalist congregations generally don't sing very well. And the reason for that is that they're too busy looking ahead to the next line to see if they agree with it. So if you're concerned about what you're chanting, the English translation of the chant is on the back. So for the chant, an A sounds like ah, I sounds like E, AI is I, YO is like EO, U is like oo, as in loop. So it sounds something like this. Kanji Daimo Sagyo Jinanya Haramita. All right, let's see. Get lost, go to the next bold or underlined words and wait for the chant to catch up with you. It is said that, how many here are doing this for the first time? Okay, how many here have done it before? Okay, look at those people, first timers, and do what they do. And remember, this is to relax and enjoy. There's no wrong way to do the ritual. There will not be a test afterwards. Any questions? And now it's time for the story for all ages.
So I think the big difference when we have mostly adults in the room is I'm not going to ask if anyone wants to come sit on the floor, because I bet you don't. But the story for all ages, I actually have two stories that I think are a good illustration of Zen Buddhism. They're both wisdom tales from the Buddhist tradition. And in the first, for this one to make sense, you have to understand that this particular order of Buddhist monks is one in which the monks are all male and are prohibited to touch or interact with people who identify as or appear to be women. And so, in this story, what happens is this. Two monks were walking along by a river, and they came to a place where they were to cross the river, but the bridge was out. And there was a young woman also standing by the river, and she was carrying a large basket, and she was wearing sandals, which were very light, made of balsa wood. And she was afraid that her sandals would float away off of her feet and that she might slip and drop her basket if she went to cross the river on foot with no bridge to help. And the monks looked at each other. The older monk and the younger monk. The younger monk said, "We are prohibited to touch women." But the older monk said, "He'll carry the basket, and I will carry you," and scooped her up into his arms, and they walked across the river. And they set down the woman and her basket, her sandals safely still on her feet, and they continued to walk. The young man becoming increasingly angry as he thought about how this elder monk, for whom he had such great respect, had abused his vows, had failed to live up to one of the most basic commandments. And so he turned to his elder and said, "How could you? How could you do such a thing? It is against our rules." And the elder monk said, "I put down that woman hours ago. Only you are still carrying her." Our second story, also from the Buddhist tradition, is about a scholar and a monk. This scholar came from far away, for he was a student of the Eastern religions, and he wished to know more about Zen Buddhism. And so he came to the home of this monk. They sat down, and the monk brewed a pot of tea, and the scholar told him of all his credentials, of all the things that he had learned and studied all over the world, hoping to impress the monk with how well studied he was, how much he already knew about these traditions. And he continued talking and talking. And the monk asked, "Would you like some tea?" And then, when he said yes, the monk began to pour and to pour and pour and pour, and the teacup overflowed, and the saucer overflowed, and the tea began to run onto the floor. And the scholar said, "Stop, what are you doing? The teacup can hold no more." And the monk said, "So it is. How can I offer you of my knowledge when your cup is already full?" These are our stories for today. Blessed be.
Let us begin.
간지 사이버 사교 한야하라 미자 이쇼 엔더 운자구려 이사구야구샤리 시시 구리 구구 구리 시시 소세 구구 소세 시주 소교 시야구냐 세샤리 시세쇼 소구 쇼구 네스구 조구 소구 겐세고 주구 시구 주소요 시구 겐디 세신니 시쇼고 미소고 엔타이나이 시구리 시기발 누누냐 야구누냐 진나이 시구로시 야구로시 진무구시 나스로무시 야구무조리 무쇼조거보다이 사자에 한야하라미자 고시 무게게 무게게 어무구구원리 이사의 텐도 무소구려 내한산세쇼 우수에 한야하라미자 고조구원 자라산야구산보다이 고시 한야하라미자 세야이 신슈 세야이 노슈 세무조슈 세 no jo isai kushin jisu go go setsu hanya haranita shu soku setsu shu wasu yate yate hara yate hara so yate bodhiswaha kanji sai bo san yoji anya haranita jisho kendo bungai guru isai guru yakushari shu shu kuri kuru kuri shiki shiki sokuze kuku sokuze shiki shu sokuze shiki yaku se shari shiki se shari Shoko Setsu Anya Haramita Shu Soku Setsu Shu Wasujate Jate Arayate Arsogate Bodhi Swata Anya Zaibo Zoyo Anya Haramita Isho Kendo Unai Kura Isai Kura Ishai Shuri Kuri So say So say Shiki So yo Shiki Aku Yo say Shai Shiki say Sho So Sho So so and say oh to shiki to so shiki to and me set shiki shiki show oh me so oh and having I shiki shiki do no yaku in my time Inside you, Yakushari, Shiki, 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 Circle, say, Circle, say, Shiki, so, Shiki, Yaku, say, Shari, say, show, show, show,
Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Sure.
Is this a ceremony specific to Zen, or does it cross over to other? Is this a ceremony specific to Zen Buddhism, or does it cross over to other traditions?
I was introduced into it through Zen, but I believe other types of Buddhism practices also. Anyone else? Elizabeth, will you send us on our way?
I invite us to speak together the words to extinguish our chalice flame. They're found on the inside of your order of service. We extinguish this chalice flame. With the fire of commitment. These we carry within our hearts until we are together again. Blessed be. May you go in peace, freed of your burdens and ready for the year to come. Amen.